We played Switzerland in round 2. It was a very exciting match. We could have made it 4-2 in our favor. We didn't. We fell behind 4-3 because of a fluke on the 9 from their side.
I said to myself, don't say anything anymore to Niels, just play the game. And yeah, that was really the turning point.
We've played Thorsten and Ralph. We've played together over 100 times. We've played against each other over 100 times. We know them through and through. They know us through and through, so it's going to be a great match no matter what.
We just want to play our own game and don't think about what people say, because sometimes people say bad things about you as well. And if you're going to pick up on that, then yeah, that will harm your game. So we just want to play our best game and see what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome into the arena the 2011 World Cup of Pool champions. Here is Team Germany! And their opponent, the 2013 runner-up here at the World Cup of Pool, here is Team Holland.
Normally at the start of a session, I have definite opinions about who I think will win. Tonight, it is so difficult to call. You can make a compelling case for all 4 nations. Germany, Holland, later on England and USA. They are right at the top of the tree in this sport. All of the 8 players, and basically predictions, you're on shaky ground.
Germany win the lag.
The number of world titles, the number of international titles,
race to 9,
regional titles, gold medals, and even runner-ups in big events. It's just, the list goes on and on and on. If you were to combine the resumes, Phil, of these 4 players, they would stretch from here to London.
Well, the lag has been won by the Germans, and it's Thorsten Hohmann to break.
Well, that's going to be an illegal break.
Illegal break, control passes.
Now let's go over that rule for you. You must get 3 balls past the head string, right where he hit the white ball from. You see that white line going across the table? Or if you pocket a ball, that counts as a ball across the head string. So no balls pocketed, 2 across the head string, thus illegal. And Holland will have the option to shoot or give the table back, but obviously with a shot on the 1 here, they will shoot. Nick Vandenberg.
Yes, the 1-5 combo, bread and butter.
And gets it out for the blue 2, which is up table. You know, Jim Weich and I, Phil, have been touting Holland all week. We really feel, I felt personally that this was their year. Niels Fein having one of the best years that any players had in pool in years. They were runner-up last year, and they almost won the event. It was a very close match against the Philippines. But there's one thing, one fly in the ointment here against Germany, and that is there's one team on this floor that's had the experience of winning this event. It was this very duo of Thorsten Hohmann and Ralph Souquet back in 2011 in the Philippines.
And in 2009, also in the Philippines, in the quarterfinal of the World Cup of Pool, these 2 nations collided. These 4 players came head-to-head, and Souquet and Hohmann prevailed 9-7.
So some early, nice potting by the Dutch. And are we looking at a 3-9 combination? Yes, indeed.
It was a combination to start the rack winning break, 1-5. And then a combination to finish things off, 3-9. A quick conclusion to the opening rack, and it falls to the men in orange. Holland 1, Germany 0.
Niels Fine, that's Thorsten Homan. Boy, he's having a great year. Now you see Niels on the right. These two are great pals and really enjoy playing with each other here in this Scotch doubles format. Niels is the #1 ranked player in the world, and boy, does he deserve that title. He is the current world 9-ball champion. He won that in June in Doha, Qatar, beat a field of 128 of the best players in the world. He's the current Whirlpool Masters champion. He is the current MVP in the latest Mosconi Cup,
Rack 2,
which took place
Holland to break, leading 1-0
in December in Las Vegas in the winning European side. And he's also won 7 out of the last 8 events that he has entered, which is practically unheard of in this sport. So in other words, Niels Fine is on fire.
The 1 ball's in. It's a legal break. The 6 also into the pocket. Pity about the 2.
Might be of note to those not familiar with 9-ball. In this format, when they rack the balls, the 1 is always at the top of the rack and the 9 is at the middle. All the other balls are racked randomly. So it looks like Vandenberg can just see the edge of the 2 ball.
Push out call.
But he's going to go for a push out. So this is a shot that they will try to tempt Germany into taking.
Yes, and now Germany have got the option. They can either play this shot or they can hand the table back to their opponents.
Well, certainly with an open shot like that, it's not really open to a pocket, but they'll be looking at a safety here. Got to get cover.
So often with Ralph Souquet, you see that very simple safety shot that's so effective, and now the Dutch are at the table in a spot of bother.
Well, Niels will kick at this, but
Extension called.
nothing much out there for cover. So he's going to have to put his mind to work, figure out how to get cover. Now he's going to go, he's not going to kick at it, he's going to kick at it from up table back down. Where will it end up? Wide open.
Well, a little hampered the queuing will be over the black 8 ball, and remember, he has to pot the blue 2, does Homan, and take the cue ball all the way up the table for the 3, but it should be within his capabilities. The Germans would like the black 8 ball to be out of the way to allow the 4 to go into this top left-hand pocket. As it is, it's blocking. There's the solution. Needs a bounce though off the cushion. That's okay.
So now you can see the path. 5 into the side. Down in the corner. You'll always notice Ralph, even when it's a pretty elementary layout, he still has that routine. He walks around, looks at all sides of the ball. Very deliberate player. He's only got 30 seconds to shoot, though.
The shot clock makes his mind up for him. And it looks like as though the Germans will equalize in 2 pots time.
And boy, how lucky are the Germans to be here in the first place. They were dead and buried against Canada. Down 6-5. Canada, 2 balls remaining on the table, and John Mora missed the 8-ball. Germany barely through to this quarterfinal.
And so Germany won, Holland won. So Germany in round 1 very comfortably beat the Malaysians 7-1. It was the opposite of comfortable, as Ted has said, against Canada. How they scraped through that, we will never ever know. As for Holland, they beat Sweden 7-3 first up, and then from 4-3 down against the Swiss, they won the closing 4 racks. At the end there, very impressive indeed.
And I think Germany can perhaps play loose because they're not supposed to be here. They really are not supposed to be here. The match was over. That was one of those, just everybody already had it in their score sheets. Canada through to the quarterfinals.
Yes, Ted, and while we're fixating on the missed 8-ball by John Mora, it should also be remembered that in the deciding rack, Torsten Homan potted an absolutely terrific 2-ball.
Yeah, out of the jaws of the pocket. One of the hardest shots, full table, out of the jaws of the pocket. That's what the big-time pros do, the winners do. They come through when the pressure's on. So the 3-ball down. It's a legal break. The 1 is available. Very long cut shot. Not entirely happy. Man, that's going to be... That's a very thin cut. And then that cue ball will be traveling as well. So the 2 is also down at the same end. They are plotting the strategy now. Just used that 2 for cover. Did they get it? Hard to tell from that angle. There might be a portion of that yellow 1 peeking out now. The way that Niels is looking at it, no, it doesn't go. Ah, he's got the jump stick. Well, it might go now. With position on the 2. That's always a spectacular shot in pool, isn't it? The jump shot, especially when they pot the ball.
And Fine plays that particular shot with considerable aplomb. Mind you, considering the year he's had, I think he plays most shots with considerable aplomb.
He does. Oh, that did not go well. That's a tough shot, long shot. It's also a tough shot here. Missed by a fair margin. Now for Homan, he's got a, rather the Suke. I've seen Ralph make these kind of shots in big time pressure situations. You can only see part of that cue ball. Has to hit it perfect, and he did. But he is beside himself, because if he had just hit it a little bit harder, he would have had position on the pink 4.
Yes, I think he actually hit the shot a little too thick, even though he potted it. Had he potted that into the heart of the pocket, he would have made a thinner contact, and consequently the cue ball would have travelled more into the heart of the table, and this 4 would have been on.
And Thorsten
Extension call.
calling an extension. He's thinking about swerving it, but he's... Now we're talking about jumping it. First he was going to masse it. He's more comfortable jumping it. That was a good option. He would have had position on the 5. Looks like he got second prize, Phil.
Those are the breaks in a top level. They make such a big difference. If that kind of run is on your side for a sustained period of time, far more often than not you win. And that's one of the great fallacies in cue
Extension
sport,
call.
that luck evens itself out. In a match, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Usually, the best players win. So, disappointment all around here. Maybe a bit of nerves on for both teams. He's got to hit this delicately just to get on the 5. And Germany looking good now.
Yes, the beneficiaries of that fluked snooker, or as you'd say in pool, a fluked hook. This is very much a partnership based on mutual respect. Homan relies entirely on Suke and vice versa. No doubting the abilities, the nerve, the experience, or the commitment of the other.
Well, if Ralph takes this into the side, he's going to have to do a little traveling with the cue ball. Not ideal position. Thorsten kind of looked up into the sky after that. He was a little disappointed with that. Of course, the players like to keep it simple. They prefer not to have the cue ball traveling like this, but Suke manages it well.
3 cushions on a dime. Homan pots the 9 ball, and Germany lead to the tune of 2 racks to 1.
Thorsten Homan, 2-time world 9-ball champion. Not many people can say they've won 2 world 9-ball championships. Actually, only one person has won 3 world 9-ball championships, and he's coming up in our next match, Earl the Pearl Strickland. So the 7 down, 2 balls past, actually 3 balls past the head string there, so that is a legal break. And Germany will continue to shoot. Nice delicate touch from Ralph Souquet.
And a very nice table from a German perspective.
Looks like the Dutch will just have to bide their time, wait for their chance. It will come. In the meantime, the Germans will take their time as much as they can within 30 seconds. Very deliberate players. Slowly racking up the potted balls, and hopefully for them, the racks. The first key here is getting the break shot down. We've seen a lot of illegal breaks, Phil, and some teams have really struggled. The Philippines really struggled with the break. So far, Germany doing a good job on the break, getting fortunate in that they've had a shot. It's amazing how simple they make the game look. Homan now for a 3-1 lead.
Well, that was just a textbook rack. Ralph Souquet putting the balls on the table, wanting to get on with this. The Germans have momentum. They were 1-0 down. They've won 3 racks in succession.
You just have to bide your time. They know. These are 2 wily veterans. They've been around the world and played in events big and small. I'm just so impressed with what Niels Feijen has accomplished in the last 2 years. Absolutely phenomenal what he has done.
The next tournament engagement is a very big one for Feijen and Vandenberg. It's the Dutch Open on the Euro Tour next weekend. I know Ralph Souquet is going to be there as well.
And there could be a few spots in the Mosconi Cup team, and Nick is looking to get on that squad.
Rack 5, Germany to break, leading 3 racks to 1.
They call him the Kaiser. Nothing's gone down except the cue ball.
What's that? Ball in hand.
Well, if any consolation for the Germans, the 2 ball is a bit tied up along the rail, and that's what the Dutch are looking at right now.
Yes, of course, with ball in hand, they can choose their angle in potting the 1. That helps.
Yeah, there's just that small window between the 4 and the 2, and they'll be looking to exploit that. It shouldn't be a problem with ball in hand. Right in there. And then, of course, the next issue will be getting on the 3, because he's pointing right there with the cue stick, and then the 4 ball. So there's a small window again, even smaller, between the pink 4 and the 9 ball.
Extension called.
So with this angle, Niels will have to bring it back up to the table. And use that small space between the 4 and the 9 to pocket the 4 in this very same pocket.
When the balls came to rest after Ralph Souquet scratched on the break, it had the look of a hard working run out. But if this one goes in and position is achieved, well, then the Dutch will be thinking they're on the cusp of halving their deficit.
Oh. Lucky. He hit that really soft. If he would have hit that any harder, it wouldn't have gone. Wait, it's great to watch when it's not just the precision, it's the finesse and the soft touch that they have.
Yes, and under pressure in Q Sports, quite often finesse is the first thing to go.
Yeah, guys just want to overcome the pressure and the tension by hitting it hard because they're afraid of making a mistake when they hit it soft. We see that a lot of times with the pros later in a match, in a tight match like a quarterfinal or a semifinal, in which they will sometimes be unable to hit it soft because they just want to pot it.
The analogy, look at the Ryder Cup going on at the moment. Players much prefer 6-footers uphill where they can hit them sharply than 6-footers downhill when they have to trickle.
Well, this has been a terrific rack for Team Holland, and if they were feeling a bit stiff before this rack, this is certainly the kind of action that's going to get them in the groove. Excellent job.
Yes, Souquet scratched, the Dutch did the rest. That was not an easy run out. They fought hard for it though, and it was important for them to get rack 5 under their belts, and now, as we expected, right at the start of the match, it's very tight.
Vandenberg from Amsterdam and Fyan from The Hague. They have known each other in the pool world for nearly 2 decades. Nick's more of the prodigy in pool. Doesn't really have to practice that much because he's just has so much natural talent. Whereas Fyan has had to work for everything that's ever come his way. He had, by his own admission, has no natural ability in pool. And I can tell you that really nobody works harder on his game than Niels Fyan.
Holland to break. Train 2 racks to 3.
I mean, he literally punishes himself with hour after hour of drills, and Nick Vandenberg hates drills.
So can the Dutch draw level?
One ball is down. It's a legal break, but is the 2 popping out? I think the 2 is covered.
Yes, the 6 ball is the culprit.
Might be able to cut it in. He's shaking his head no. There was a funny story I heard from Johan Reisink, the former Dutch national coach and the winning coach of the European Mosconi Cup team. Back in the day when they were first starting out in the 90s, they used to run these like pool boot camps in Holland, and Johan was, you know, the drill sergeant. Niels likes to punish himself with drills and everything, and he would just work hour after hour. And Johan would say, hey, Niels, if you miss a ball in this drill, you have to do 25 push-ups. so Niels would be on the floor of the pool hall doing push-ups. He's a bit of a fitness freak, so he actually enjoyed it. That worked out well. He tried to pot it and knew that he would get safe with that kind of play. You know, it's where Nick Vandenberg, he would say, I ain't doing any drills, and he would just leave. So, anyway. Nicely done. Willing it into position. The long kick shot for Suke. Decent reply.
But the initiative remains with Holland.
Just a reminder, it's 30-second shot clock. Each team gets one extension per rack. Holland has used their extension. Germany has not.
Well, the 7 and 3 so close together, I think Nick Vandenberg there thought that was quite a big target to hide behind. But I think he was short of pace.
Very close.
Extension call.
No more extensions. Great shot. He's got to get position. Crowd appreciates it. And now, things seem to open up for Germany.
Yes, Nick Vandenberg is very much a realist. He would appreciate that his previous safety shot was weak in two respects. Basically not enough pace in the shot and weak in terms of the fact it was defective and costly. And this is the kind of chance that the Germans always seem to pounce on. If they do go on to win this match and maybe even win the tournament, we'll always think about how they wriggled out of that straitjacket against the Canadians.
When you follow pool, you come to realize that almost every winner of every tournament has had to go through one match in which he had to survive a massive scare, where it looked like it could go either way right at the end.
It happens in an awful lot of sport. Tennis, very much with snooker. Stephen Hendry won 36 world ranking titles. At least 50% of those he had an almighty scare at some point on the road to victory.
Yes, you rarely see players dominate from beginning to end. Boy, this is precision pool from both teams.
Nick Vandenberg erred in the safety department. The Germans stepped in and won the rack. Suke pots the 9 ball. They lead 4-2.
The first rack, and Since then, Germany has held a 3-1 lead and now 4-2. Well, he's got a legal break. Unfortunately for Germany, nothing down. It's dry, so Holland up at the table with a shot on the 1. Well, Thorsten has figured out how to get at least 3 balls past the head string. We've some of our other matches, like the Philippines, Mika Immonen was having some problems as well. But you got to make one.
Well, that's the kind of mistake you did not expect from Mr. Niels Fine. What a bonus that is for the Germans.
Seemed to hit it harder than he had to because look at the position he would have left himself on the blue 2 anyway. He snookered himself. But it's on to the 1 ball for Germany. And a big opportunity here to put a commanding lead out there. Crowd appreciates that. Bringing the cue ball all the way around those colors. Here it is again.
The Germans know that it's crucial to keep their opponents in their seats, thinking about the mistake they've just made.
Everything out in the open. And they're just going to take as much time as they need. Up to 30 seconds, of course.
I must say, I think the 30-second shot clock works wonderfully. It doesn't make the players rush, but it allows the match to flow.
Actually makes the players play better. Because as we've talked about before, Phil, you know, some tournaments when you don't see a shot clock, some players have these tics and nervous habits that they cannot stop picking lint off the table or you know, walking around the table. They look at it from 5 different angles and it just goes on and on and on, and they end up playing worse. I mean, Ralph is not known as the fastest player in the world, and I've seen him without a shot clock, and it gets tough to watch. And he's not a better player just because he looks at it 6 times. He's a better player when he has a shot clock.
Well, the more you look, the more you think about things, the more that seed of doubt germinates in the mind.
They are just picking off these colors. And this is confirmation that the Germans are in control.
In the early section of the match against Canada, in the second round, Ralph Suke missed a very easy 6 ball, but tonight, so far, when it comes to potting, he's been pretty flawless.
Well, they were also up 5-2 against Canada, and we were writing off the Canadians. It looked like they had no chance to get back in the match. They did indeed come back in the match and very nearly won it. Just at the last second, the Germans made the great escape into the quarterfinals, and look at this. They find themselves up 5-2, and we go upstairs to the practice area. There you see Earl the Pearl Strickland and Shane Van Boning in blue, Team USA. practicing the break. This is the key shot. You can master this break shot. It's a massive advantage. In the distance there, you see Team England in red. Carl Boys on the left and Darren Appleton racking the balls there. Also practicing their break shot. The only problem is, Phil, is that they practice the break shot. It's totally different conditions upstairs. Same diamond tables, same cloth, but different climate conditions.
We'll see how the England-USA transatlantic tussle pans out later, as Strickland continues to try and master that break.
Germany to break, leading 5 racks to 2.
Yeah, you can just feel the tension up there in the practice room, especially between Carl Boys and Earl Strickland. Their feud going back to December in Las Vegas at the Mosconi Cup, when they played a singles match together and Earl was just yapping away, as he does sometimes. And Carl Boys was getting annoyed.
Legal break.
And Carl Boys had words for Earl afterwards, after beating Earl.
Well, back here, just as one team seems to get some kind of momentum, it's interrupted in that instance by an illegal break.
One ball down, one across the head string, the white line there, and that's it. That's why it's an illegal break. Now, Holland, they have the choice to shoot or give it back. In this case, they can see the 2 ball, but they don't like it. So they give it back to Germany. Well, perhaps try to use that red 3 and green 6 as a place to hide a ball. Put the cue ball over there. Brings it down table, but he cannoned into the 4. Is that open? That's going to be very close. I don't think so. Niels will jump at this.
Extension call.
Look how far, Phil, he has to jump over that brown 7.
And when you've got to jump a distance, it really is tough. We saw that this afternoon, Philippines, Finland in the penultimate rack. The Philippines erred in this kind of situation. Finland won that rack and the next to come home 9-7.
Foul shot.
That is certainly a foul. He had to jump it very far. That's in pool. That's a long distance jump right there. And you can see he hits the top of the 7 ball, and the cue flies off the table. So the key shot here, from the 2 to the 3.
Stop clock.
Referee Nigel Rees actually just telling the Germans that there's a little mark on the white because of that. Off the table onto the carpet, actually under one of the Dutch chairs.
Nicely done. And now, the next key shot here, this one. Just to get on the 4. Boy, Germany looking really strong here. Bit of weakness in the game of Holland.
Now Suke here looking at two things. First of all, about potting the 4, obviously. Secondly, what the reaction is going to be when the cue ball makes a secondary contact with the 9. And you know, when two balls are close together, it divides concentration, disturbs a player's thought process, and so often you see a ball missed.
And they had an open table and now give it back. So this is the chance that Holland was looking for. A thin cut, but plenty of room out there for position on the 5. Holland needs to pounce right now.
Used it.
Well, they've endured some disappointments already in this match. The Dutch, if they don't run out here, it would be the biggest of the lot.
Phil, this comes just in the nick of time. 6-2, 5-3, what a difference. Psychologically, this has to be a massive boost for the Dutch.
Yes, the Germans and Ralph Suke in particular ruining that miss on the 4 ball. Holland back within 2. The German lead is now reduced to 5-3.
Let's not forget that Niels Fyen fouled off a jump shot in that rack, and rarely do you foul and give up ball in hand and still win the rack.
Remember, in the quarterfinals, the length of the match is increased. The first 2 rounds, it was a race to 7. Now it's a race to 9. And the reward for the winner is a meeting in the semi-finals with Austria. And one thing we were talking about beforehand was the fact that these two nations don't commit mistakes. Well, that one was very difficult. High tariff. That one, surprising.
Yeah, the 9 ball disturbed his concentration, and he had to adjust his shot because he wanted to still get
Rack
position
9,
for the 5.
Holland to break, train 3 racks to 5.
Niels Fyen.
Listen quiet then, please.
One ball down, but there's 2 down and 1 across the line, so that's a legal break. But you can see the 1 ball, the cue ball rather, flew up table.
Yes, and whenever the cue ball's in close proximity to the jaws of a pocket, it makes the cueing so much more tricky.
It's not going to work out. Always tough in that side pocket. And like you said, Phil, the cueing's not easy from that jaws of the pocket there. See, his hand was over the mouth.
And it was from that very same pocket where the cue ball was nestled into
Extension call.
in the second round against Canada that Homan potted a wonder 2-ball in the deciding rack, and now he's got the 2-ball on again. Calling the extension here just to clear the mind before what could be a critical shot in this rack.
Oh, great shot. So he pots the 2, nudges the 3 over for position. Ralph has to be real happy with this.
Five balls left, all in the top left quadrant of the table. Top right as we're looking, of course. Cool heads, these two.
Germany has played the better match so far, without a doubt. I'm sure Holland recognizes that, and the scoreline shows it. This is not a fluke. Germany has just played better. They're about to go up by 3. Race to 9. You see that? Not sure about that right there. Rolling the balls on the table just to get them out of the pocket. I mean, I'm sure they might hear from referee Nigel Reese after this rack about doing that.
6-3 it is. The Germans doubling up on Holland at the moment. But rest assured, no chickens will be counted. It's quarter-final day at the Betway World Cup of Pool, and up in the practice room, Carl Boyes and Darren Appleton putting the final touches to their preparations for a match against Shane Van Boning and Earl Strickland. Yes, it's England versus the USA in what will be our concluding quarter-final. Lots of rivalry there.
Rack 10, Germany to break, leading 6 racks to 3.
Now back in the main arena, Torsten Homan breaking off in rack number 10. The Germans 6-3 to the good.
You know, up in that practice area, I'm surprised there wasn't like 2 big security dudes standing between that table. Carl and Earl. No love lost between them. So now a legal break, but a dry break. Nothing down.
All in all, I think the Germans have played very well in this match, with one notable exception. The break puzzle yet to be solved.
Yes, they've certainly outplayed Holland at this point. Oh, just nothing going Holland's way. However, they got second prize on that.
That was very much a two-way shot.
They seem to be stuck in the mud a bit. Just can't get going. Yeah. Maybe here, after the ball going safe. They need a break. They may have got one.
Well, I think from Ralph Suke's reaction, the one ball is on.
Yeah, the way he walked away from the table real quick, that means the 1 is on. The Dutch need to put a 2-pack out there, a 3-pack, at least 2.
Yes, yet to win 2 racks in succession, the Dutch.
If anything, just to get that self-belief back. Of course, they know they can do it, but it's just been hard, tough. They just haven't been able to get on a roll yet through 9 racks. They have struggled. Just a matter of following the pattern. Doesn't look like any problems out there.
Okay.
Q power displayed, deep screw. And this now is just routine stuff.
I guess you could say, Phil, in any sport, the mark of a champion is how you handle adversity. It's not the good times, it's the bad times and how you deal with it. Dutch have had some adversity here. They got a break just in time here when Suke left that 1 ball open, and they are taking advantage quite nicely.
Yes, Fine played the 7 ball there more into the right-hand jaw of the pocket than he wanted to, hence the cue ball travelling more and being under the side cushion. So a grain more pressure on this, no problem.
Well, they needed that one like they needed air to breathe. 6-4 now. The Dutch will be breaking, and this is what I was saying. They need to get this next one, and they need it now. Cannot wait and let Germany inch their way towards the finish line of 9. Germans have played too good in this match. So it'll be Nick Vandenberg. So it's a race to 9. Winner breaks. 30-second shot clock in play. You have 30 seconds to shoot. If not, you will be called for a foul, and your opponents will get ball in hand. 1 extension per team per rack.
Rack 11, on break, doing 4 racks for 6.
Now in this break shot right here, you must get 3 balls past that white head string where he's put the cue ball. A pocketed ball counts as one of those past the head string. If not, your opponents can take the table. 1 ball down. Oh, that's a legal break. And well, they can see the 2. What they can do with it remains to be seen. So actually the 4 ball also went down. Boy, that 8 ball nearly went down as well. Great break shot.
Yes, neither side has covered themselves in glory when it comes to the break-off in this match. That's one of the best ones we've seen.
Push out call.
And even then, push out.
So they will offer Germany something to look at. Certainly nothing too easy. Now Germany, they can decide to shoot this, perhaps play safe, or if they don't like the shot, they can give it back to the Dutch. And the Dutch will have to deal with what they left. And they bring the Dutch back in. So we'll have to see what they had in mind. Clearly, it's going to be a safety shot.
Well, if you work on the premise that no one pushes out to a shot that they don't fancy, the Dutch might have won the psychological battle here.
Oh, what a shot. What a shot, using the 9 as a guide to make sure that that 2 goes in. That's the shot of the match. Amazing.
Like Baldrick and Blackadder, they had a cunning plan.
And with position on the red 3. Well, well, well. I guess we can safely say now that the Dutch are back in it. It's amazing what their eyes and minds can conceive, because he used the 9 ball as a guide to help the 2 go into the pocket. And here they are. This will be 2 in a row.
Pre-match expectations being well and truly fulfilled. Most people thought this would be a very tight race. It is. Germany 6, Holland 5. And what a shot this was. The Germans decided to put the Dutch back in. Fine. 2 ball, banks it down the table. Judges the reaction off the 9 to perfection.
And position. And position off on the 3. And the 9 ball makes it 6-4. 6-5 rather, I'm sorry.
One of 2 things happened there. The Germans didn't see that shot, or they didn't fancy taking it on.
Yeah.
Thank you, rack 12. Holland to break, trailing 5 racks to 6.
Well, let's not forget just how confident this man is in his game. For the last year, 15 months perhaps, he has literally been on fire wherever he has played pool. Now the 1 ball is down. Now is the 2. Now the 2 is not available. There might be an alley there. So Ralph looking to create distance.
He's one of those tactical maestros, is Suke. It makes it all look very straightforward and matter of fact. But he's so knowledgeable.
Well, there isn't a shot he hasn't seen. It's just peeking out a bit. Gonna have to deal with that 4 ball. I'm not sure if the
Extension
4
called.
passes into the corner pocket at some point. How about hide that cue ball behind that 3-ball cluster?
And so many escape options here are denied.
Extension called.
Nick Vandenberg will jump. What's he going to leave? He has left a shot, but this table is far from over. Cue ball is going to go away from the red 3. And then you have the issue of that pink 4 ball. The question about that 4 ball. I don't think the 4 ball passes the 7.
Germany striving to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup of Pool for the 5th time. Only the Philippines have been there more. They've got through 6 times. Does the
I think this
4
is a
squeeze in?
combination. Looked like he was lining or carom like that.
And in one stroke, the rack opens up.
Not sure what you call a carom in snooker. Cannon?
It is cannon, yes. You wouldn't see flicking off one ball to pot another all that often. Crops up occasionally. But the cannons are used, of course, very much for positional play, especially around the black spot.
I think this is Pool's equivalent of trench warfare here, this match right now. These guys are slugging it out. Holland had won 2 in a row. Germany with some great potting will get one back.
Yes, Holland needed this rack to be back on level terms for the first time since 1-1. Instead, thanks to a wonderful snooker, the Germans forced their chance and took it with both hands. They lead by 7 racks to 5, and that means they are just 2 away from their target and a place in the semi-finals. Dry mouth for Ralph Souquet, just taking on a little bit of water. Nervy times. A possible 5 racks left now, and the Dutch need to win 4 of them. A tall order against any opposition, especially so against the Germans.
Yeah, the finish line creeping into sight for the Germans, and a spot in the semis.
Rack 13, Germany to break, leading 7 racks to 5.
Ralph Souquet just taking a look at the pack, making sure everything is in order in terms of where the balls and how have they been placed. Happy, so getting on with it.
However, nothing down. It was legal. That means Holland to shoot, and they have a shot on the 1. The 2 and the 3 at the same end of the table.
Yes, 4 balls over the head string, but nothing found a pocket. And worryingly for the Germans, all of the balls in the open, no clusters.
But this long shot on the 1, vital. In the heart of the pocket. So right now the key shot will be getting from the 3 to the 4, which they are at opposite ends of the table. And there's a little bit of traffic in the way. They've already picked out the spot. You can see Vandenberg looking at the spot behind the 4. Or perhaps they'll take it in the other pocket.
You know, it was just the situation there, I think, that led to the hesitation. Stock shot. In goes the ball, touch of right-hand side, naturally down here into that zone. Some margin of error for them, so I think that was just a matter of taking stock and realising that was perhaps the shot that would glue everything together. That, though, is clumsy. Didn't get into the cue ball enough.
This rack started with a dry break for the Germans, and that gave the Dutch the opportunity at the table.
Extension called.
So Holland has used its extension. Look out. Oh. So it appears that they have to go for the combination. Or he could go for the carom. Carom. Well, he had to go safe. No safe option there, so for a pot, so discretion. So he decided to go for the safety, and you can see, you heard Nick Vandenberg pounding his cue, trying to will that 6-ball onto the rail.
That was all down to fine, though. His positional shot 2 shots ago, and the knock-on effect after that.
That's usually what happens. A positional error leads to either a mistake or having to play safe several shots later. Will he use the 7 as a guide? They've returned the favor on the Dutch. Oh. That's a similar shot that the Dutch performed earlier, using that ball by the pocket, in this case the 7-ball, as a sort of a funnel.
Well, the 9-ball is not ideal, but at least it's a clear shot on the 8. The Germans should win this, and as a consequence, move to the hill. Well, that was what they call a snatch in snooker, upper body movement. The nerves got to Torsten Homan. Technically, that was very poor indeed.
Let's watch this again. Well, he hit it at very high speed in order to get position, and if you don't hit him dead in the pocket when you hit him that fast, that's what happens.
The snooker terminology, Ted, is that Homan twitched, and the Dutch have renewed life. Germany 7, Holland 6. Homan sitting there, feeling sick.
Well, 1 minute. You're on a high. Torsten Homan with this incredible shot. It looked like the Germans were going to take the rack. That, a 6 off the 7. And then this, a massive low. Missing the 8-ball. Just picked up his head. Tried to get position on the 9.
Yes, drama abounds and more world-class pool coming up. In Nottingham in November, it's the World Pool Masters. Won on 6 occasions, a record 6 occasions by Ralph Souquet. He's also been a member of a winning Mosconi Cup team on 6 occasions, and that USA Europe clash will be coming up in Blackpool in December.
And the defending World Pool Masters champion is none other than Niels Stein. Oh, this looks... No. Well, for a second there, it looked like they were going to have a shot on the 2, the Dutch. But the 7, lucky for the Germans, got in the way.
Push out called.
Push out.
Well, the last time the Dutch pushed out, the Germans put them back in, and with imagination, the Dutch potted the ball, and it was the 2. Now the Germans will be mindful of the fact that the last time there was a push out and they put the Dutch back in, they pulled off an extraordinary double in off another ball.
Well,
is that viable here?
Reset the clock, please.
For a second there, it looked like they were going to take it, but they don't see any rewards out of taking this shot.
You don't push out aimlessly. Something would have been inside their heads. What is it?
He's hoping to get that cue behind the 5. What a shot.
Again, the Dutch win the psychological push-out battle.
That's the side of the game that Niels has really worked on in the last 2 years. For 15 years throughout the sport, he was always known as a offensive player.
Call.
Didn't have much of a safety game, and then he rededicated himself to training with his coach, Dutch national coach, and a man familiar with many of our viewers, Alex Lely. And it has paid huge dividends because that safety game that he has added to his arsenal, Niels, that's the reason why he has been so successful in the last 2 years. And this will be on. Wow, see, this is exactly why you play tough safeties. This is what that adds to your game. The tactical game can become your best offense.
The little nudge helped. It helped the cue ball apply the brakes. Caught a lot of that near jaw, but at that pace it flopped in quite easily.
Just a few minutes ago, Germany was looking like they were going to go up 8-5 until Thorsten Missed the 8-ball. Easily makeable 8-ball. He hit it too hard. Bad position. And here we are. We're looking at a tie match.
And the irony of that, of course, is that last night the Germans were the beneficiary of a missed 8-ball. This time it could cost them.
Yeah.
Extension called.
And the Dutch they've really had to grind out this match. They get these last 3 balls, they have to feel pretty good about their chances. Because for a good portion of this match, it was all Germany. Germany had outplayed them. But sometimes you just have to grind it out, hang around, wait for your chances. Don't panic.
And I'll tell you what, Mario He and Albin Auschen will be watching this one with interest because, of course, the winner of this match goes through to play the Austrians.
Boy, how well did Austria play today against China? 9-3 was that score line. We expected a much closer battle in that quarterfinal. This for the tie.
You can't get any closer than this. High fives for the Dutch. It is 7-7. It started out as a best of 17 rack match. 3 racks remain. The tension stifling.
It came down to that push out, and the Dutch saw something that the Germans did not. The Germans put the Dutch back into the rack. Niels played a very good safety.
I'll tell you what, if the Dutch have the chance to push out again, you know, they might push out into a very awkward situation because they might work on the assumption that the Germans would be frightened to put them back in.
That's a good point. Yeah, and that safety led to the open shot on the 2-ball after the Germans tried to escape.
Okay, rack 15. Holland to break. 7-7.
The last time this match was tied at 1 apiece. Germany led from there up until this point. Four ball down. It's a legal break. Shot on the 2. 3 out in the open. Yeah, they like that.
In the final last year, the Dutch were narrowly defeated by the Philippines. They had chances. They didn't quite hold up under pressure. Will they do that here?
They have to be feeling extremely good about their chances, Phil. "20 minutes ago, no. But having run the gauntlet that the Germans laid down for them, they find themselves tied with just 2 to go for victory and this open rack. And I can just sense an extra pep in the step of Niels Feijen because, boy, he was jazzed when he hit that safety that caused Germany to leave the next shot open. That's just the thing that he's been working on in the last 2 years in his game. And that's the kind of safety play that won him the Whirlpool Masters last year. So Niels and Nick have really battled back hard.
Two balls away from winning 3 consecutive racks in this match for the first time, and doing that at this juncture shows impeccable timing. He was a little worried as the cue ball was running down the table, was Vandenberg, but it stopped in time. Ample time.
A break and run out to move to the hill. From 7-5 down to up 8-7 and breaking for a spot in the semis here at the World Cup and Pool, while Germany can only sit and hope.
Momentum has definitely swung, and you have to look back at one particular shot. That was the quintessential turning point. The missed 8 ball from Homan in rack number 13 when they were on the verge of going 8-5 ahead and moving on to the hill. Will the Dutch get another chance? Of course, if they can break and run out again here, that's it.
Rack 16, Holland to break, leading 8 racks to 7.
Might wonder, what is Nick looking at there? The players like to have the balls frozen together. Makes for a better rack, better break shot. They can request a re-rack. Referee Nigel doesn't have to agree to that. Nigel's been and Michaela have been racking them great because they've never had to re-rack the balls this entire tournament. He's got the 1 ball down. It is a legal break.
Has the 6 traveled far enough to be able to pot the 2? Yes, it has.
Well, the 4 does not pass. Perhaps a combination. The 4 will be the next ball, or the 4 on the side. Depends on where they play this.
I think the 2 might be straight enough to screw it back. Yes, the loop bridge, that tells us he's playing the screw back.
He's going to take it in the side, just where he pointed. Think he's got some confidence now?
In the minds of the Germans, maybe travel arrangements are being mulled over. They will watch intently, waiting to pounce, but will they get the opportunity? Methinks not.
I think you're correct, Phil.
Attention call.
All right, they have used their extension, so get an additional 30 seconds.
Looks like history is going to repeat itself in the previous round against the Swiss. The Dutch won the closing 4 racks. That's what they're aiming to do right here. Adrenaline coursing through the Q arm. That's why the positional aspect of that shot was just slightly over-egged.
Well, when they get these 3 balls, they will be feeling really good about their chances the rest of the way. Because it didn't come easy. They had to work for everything in this match. And that hard work and that patience, Phil, paid off.
The finalists 12 months ago at the York Hall in Bethnal Green, now 2 pots away from being a semi-finalist here in Portsmouth. The Germans will be glum because it looks like, Ted, it's going to be Dutch delight.
Holland through to the semifinals. A spectacular, hard-nosed comeback against Germany.
And the reaction tells you what it means to them. Germany's so disappointed. It's the Dutch who progress. Up next, the last quarter-final of this Betway World Cup of Pool. It is England against the...